Okay, this is a summary of Daf 22, which itself is a summary of the Maimar. And we go through a couple of ideas based on the Pasuk Achar Shem Lakechem. We said it's the three times of the word Kadosh. That is to draw down Havai into Tzavakais, into the many hosts. We talked about the difference between when it says Kihutziva v'nivro, he commanded and it was created, versus the more deliberate sense of Hashem stating it. So one is much more of a yesh total from ayin, whereas the enunciation of the words is less of an ayin because there is verbalization. We talked about the levels of mamalik kolamim and seviv kolamim, that even within seviv kolamim, there's a level that at least acknowledges the concept of a world, whereas the higher level of seviv kolamim doesn't even acknowledge the sense of there being a world. The second or lower level is transitioning from the seviv into the mamalik. We talked about the phraseology of telechu and oisei tiro is the levels of love of Hashem and then the reverence. It's a rotzai and shuv dynamic. The mitzvahs of tishmeru is through aligning ourselves with the 248 mitzvahs. B'kele tishmo is Torah, which prevents our mitzvahs from being hijacked like a leaky vessel, that its contents can be hijacked away. And then we talked about v'osei tavodu, that is, that we will be in service of Hashem. And the difference, like the pasuk in Malacha that says, I have seen the difference between one who serves Hashem and one who serves him not. And as the Gemara explains that both of those, the server and the one who serves him not, are tzaddikim. The difference is the one who serves does the standard 100 times. The one who does not serve, he simply does what his routine is. The one who serves goes beyond the routine to 101. And that 1% increase is a transformation. Like when we overcome a test, we are allowing the Kedusha to be released from the Klippa. We talked about the number 100 being an indication of reaching through the human capacity of Nefesh, Ruach and Neshama, and 101 going beyond the aspect of our Neshama, which is embedded in our humanity to the levels of Chaya and Yechida. We talked about the relevance to 100 brachas. We talked about the idea that Chachma mi'ayin timtza, and mi'ayin is 101, that the 101, that little bit that we go beyond the routine, allows us access to something greater even than Chachma. We talked about the pasuk that says v'samtem, and the Gemara describes as sam with a samech, a tum, a perfect medicine. We talked about sam being the gematria of 100, the shape of the letters samech and mem miraculously being suspended in the Aseres HaDibros tablets, which could be seen from both sides, carved through and through, and yet they would stay. They would still be suspended in midair. Sari Imenu is described as being 100 years, then 20 and 7, and we talked about this idea all tying into 100 being the routine and 101 being that extra step. And then the Alter Rebbe added that we have the 6 terms that are mentioned in the pasuk, and that these 6 terms are also a reference to the 6 words of the Shema. We talked about that Shema is the Shem of Ayin, all 70 of them. Yisrael is the observance, Shimur Yisrael. We talked about Hashem Elokeinu is Tishmeru and Tishma'u. Hashem Echad is Tavodu. So these 6 words which are described in the pasuk are Telechu, you should follow, Tiru, you should revere, Tishmu, you should guard, Tishma'u, you should hear, Tavodu, you should serve, Tidbakun, you should attach, or manifest through the declaration of the Shema. The V'ahavta represents the mitzvahs aseh. The V'hayim Shemaya represents the resistance to Leis aseh. And we pointed out that through obedience of Iskafia, we actually reach a superior level through that resistance that expresses an even more profound level of godliness.